so easy every day. Living in Lubbock, the one and only LBK. We got rock and roll, we got the blues, two-stepping in the honky-tonks and our cowboy boots. Through the dust in review mirror you can see our rhythm and roots. Rhythm and Welcome to another episode of LBK Rhythm and Roots Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Robertson. Today we're inside Studio 1314 inside Citizens Tower in downtown Lubbock. And season 2 has started off with a bang. We've had some great guests, and today is no exception. In studio today, I have my friend, the very talented Mr. Kenny Maines. Kenny, thanks for being here today.
You bet. Great to be with you, Jason.
How you doing, man?
Doing well. Yeah. Things starting to wind down things a little bit. Getting into that season of my life where I've backed a little bit off of playing, but still play several times a month and enjoying every minute of it. So
Good.
Even more so maybe because I'm not doing it quite as much.
That's right. Gives you a little time to breathe in between.
Absolutely.
Well, you spend a lot of your life touring, gigging, on the road. Why don't we talk about that a little bit? I mean, you grew up in a musical family. I mean, the original Maines brothers was your dad and his brothers, right?
Yeah, actually, my dad had 3 brothers, and he and the 2 older brothers started playing music, started a band back in the early 50s. I was born in 54, so my earliest musical memory, was hearing my dad and my uncles sing and play around the kitchen table. And so that was always such a treat for me, and just grew up that way. So that's why at the age of 7, I felt like that my calling was to be a singer and a guitar player. So that's where it started.
So growing up with those guys, is that where you've got all of your influence was from your dad and your uncles? I mean, did they teach you how to play guitar and teach you vocally, or was it something you just kind of picked up naturally?
You know, some of that probably more just from watching them play, and then we kind of started in repetition. My older brother, Lloyd, started playing guitar. And then kind of dropped that down to the next brother, Steve, and then I was third in line. So we just had one guitar, so we had to share that. So I actually we just sat down and just started figuring things out ourselves. To be honest, no formal training at all for any of us. So it was kind of learn to play by ear, as Chet Atkins once said when somebody asked him if he knew how to read music, he always said, well, not enough to hurt my playing.
That's so true.
Now there are times when I wish that I did have more formal training, because just to have a better knowledge of musical theory, I think to really help with production and songwriting, I think that would have been a benefit. But that's that old dog theory now.
That's right.
I'm not sure if I would be able to learn some of that stuff.
Well, who needs formal training when your last name's Maines? I mean, it's really in your DNA.
It really is. I tell people it's pretty much a requirement. If you're born of Maines, if by the age of 5 or 6 you don't play or sing something, then you're out of the
family. Just drown you in the creek? Or?
Yeah, disappear, just mysteriously.
So how long did the original Maines brothers play together? How long were they?
The original group, and it actually ended up, like say, started out with the 3 older brothers. They had a younger brother, Don, but I still get up and sing with them occasionally. But it was the kind of the structure with the 3 older brothers, and then the 2 oldest, which were Raymond, or they call him Sonny, and my dad, ended up kind of being the core of the Maines Brothers band back in the 50s and 60s. And they would play rodeos and VFWs and then dance halls around the area. You know, at that time, when they were playing, you didn't really have that much going on in the city of Lubbock because there was no beer or liquor sales. in Lubbock, and so the nearest you could go to a bar, to a dance club, and buy your alcohol and your mixed drinks was Post. So there were a couple places there that they would go and play, and that's probably one of my earliest memories. And so that was when I was 7, 8 years old. My dad would take us to Post, Texas, to a little club there called the Hitchin' Post. And they also had a club there called the Western Lounge, and they were both just honky tonks, just dance clubs. And we would go with my dad, and that was when we weren't playing instruments at that time, but we were all singing. And so on the intermissions, my dad would get us up on stage, and we would have our way at the microphone. The story goes that at that time, I was too short to even reach the microphone, and so they'd bring in a Coke box, and I would stand on the Coke box to be able to reach the microphone to sing. And so we would sing during the intermissions there at the Hitchin' Post in Post, Texas.
I bet that is some good memories.
That
And what
really
a way
is.
to cut your teeth into the music industry.
Oh yeah. I mean, see, good and bad. I mean, good, bad, and ugly. There, we got to do that. Got to play music and to have, and they had an incredible band at that time playing, and so their band would back us when we were singing, and just we had a great time. At the same time, you got to see some old fashioned fist fights, and that was when you're 7, 8 years old. That could be a little frightening, but I learned early that in that day and age, as opposed to today, it was really more of just a sport. It's just the fact that they had it was boxing matches without gloves.
That's right.
But then those same people would have a big brawl, and then get up and go have breakfast, in the mornings. So,
Shake hands right after.
absolutely.
It reminds me of that song, a Guy Clark song. Have you heard Out in the Parking Lot?
No,
And it kind of alludes to that, about the brawls and stuff outside
sure.
of the honky tonks. But
Yeah,
so
it's real odd that it seemed like they even had enough respect for the venue, for the club, that most of the time they'd go out to the parking lot.
That's right.
to settle their differences.
well, they knew if they did it inside, they'd get cut off.
Well, that's true.
So when did you and your brothers officially, was it 70s that you guys kind of took over the Maines Brothers Band?
Well, we actually started our band when I was 11 years old. And so at that time, my dad and his brothers were still playing. And so, but we formed our own band, and because the Maines Brothers Band was already taken, that name, we were known as the Little Maines Boys.
Okay.
But we actually still, and played some of the same venues that my dad would play with, the Slayton VFW or the Cotton Club out on the Slayton Highway. And so that, once again, that's when I started getting a real experience. My first instrument was to play in the band was bass guitar, and so there were at that time the three brothers, Lloyd, Steve, myself, and then we had a fiddle player. His name was Joe Stevenson. Joe actually went on to play with Johnny Rodriguez and had a great career with Johnny. And then our first drummer was a guy named Steve Braddock out of Tahoka, or actually Grassland, Texas. And Steve was the oldest of the bands, and at that time probably maybe 16, and so he was
Old
the old
timer.
guy. Well, but he had a driver's license, so he was able to.
So
drive
he was
us around.
immediately in the band.
Absolutely, even and a good drummer to boot.
Yeah.
So we ended up playing. At that time, my dad and the brothers were playing at the Cotton Club out on the Slayton Highway, and during that day and age, they had a matinee from 4 to 7, and then they would come back and play their primetime dance from 8 to midnight, with an hour off in between. Well, I don't know whether they just got tired of playing that matinee, but they finally brought us in, and we started doing the matinee. And then they would come in and play the nighttime. And that was every Sunday. Started probably when I was 12 or 13 years old. we'd go out there, and so we'd have to do that, and finally took over both shifts of that, the matinee and the evenings. So we'd play every Sunday till midnight, come back, go to bed, and be ready for school the next morning. So
I bet that's where you guys really cut your teeth, isn't it? I mean, was that really where you kind of grew that bond and got really tight as a band?
Absolutely. I think, especially with the brothers, at that time we'd actually got the opportunity to play with a number of different musicians during that time. But the core of the band at that time was Lloyd, Steve, and myself. And we really did. I think at that time it's when you start to develop your timing, the harmony blends that you have. And, of course, Lloyd was just an incredibly gifted musician, period. Anything that he sat down or grabbed a hold of, he was able to play.
He's still that way, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And that's what. But yeah, I literally saw Lloyd at the age of probably 14 sit down at a steel guitar and play steel guitar rag. First time.
Never played it before?
No. I played it on guitar, but never steel. I mean, those are two different instruments, really, when you think about it. But yeah, just sat down and started playing that. And I've tried that for the last 50 years, and I still can't do that.
Guys like Lloyd just make you sick, don't they? It's not fair.
I mean, playing a pedal steel was like flying a 747.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually flying, not pushing the auto
right.
button. But
and there's some really talented guys around town that do it.
Oh, there really are. Yeah. We've got, I tell you, an up-and-coming young man that I've had a couple of opportunities to play with, a guy named Wyatt Kinney. You will have him on your show at some point. Wyatt plays keyboard, fiddle, pedal steel, guitar. As far as I know, he hadn't started singing yet, but I'm sure that's still to come. So
yeah, you'll have to get me in touch with Wyatt.
Yes, absolutely. And also, Wyatt just turned 15 years old.
I think I've heard about him.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it? I mean, some people
is.
are just born with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are. I mean, I think without a doubt that there are spiritual gifts that people are given to use for a purpose, and that's exactly what guys like that do. And if no other purpose, then just to make people smile.
Yeah, and it does when you hear that. Like a guy like Jeremy Moyers, when he starts playing, he's another one of those guys that just makes you sick watching.
Oh,
him play,
I know. Yeah, that stuff. And of course, then I have to hang out with his dad occasionally too.
That's right. Y'all are kin, aren't you? Yeah,
that's right. His dad Wally is actually married to the best-looking Maine's brother, Latronda, our sister.
Yeah.
So, they've been married, have a couple of boys, doing well. So,
and another talented family. I mean,
yes,
the Moyers
absolutely.
family is just as rich and deep in music as the Maines.
Well, and it's interesting, just kind of with that lifeline there, because Wally's dad and our dad, James, and then Wally Sr. Actually played together.
Oh, wow.
Back during the day, and so that lineage is kind of followed through both of the families for some time. So
that's neat.
Now Wally will tell you, of course, when he first started playing, he wasn't a country guy at all. Wally wanted to be the best rock and roll guitar player in the world, and he actually became a great guitar player. But then ended up coming over to the countryside.
That's right,
and has done very well with that.
Yeah, bunch of talented guys over there.
Yeah.
So when you guys, 80s, 90s, is that when you really started kind of gaining some traction as far as the Maines brothers and really putting out some hits and recording?
Yeah, we actually, and of course we played around here, like I say, from the time I was a young teenager through high school for just kind of playing the area and different jobs, making just a supplemental living with that. But then when I was 19, I actually had an offer to go play with a lounge band in Las Vegas back in 1974. And so that was a big a big experience builder for me.
Oh, I bet. That was incredible.
I spent about 3 years out there with a guy named Kenny Vernon. I'll be visiting Kenny Vernon here next week. He's still out in Las Vegas, but that was where I learned a lot about not just music, but the music business. And so that was a real.
I bet performing too,
Absolutely.
Especially being in Vegas. I'm sure that was the spot to learn performance.
Of course, at that time, it's when you wore the leisure suits or the jumpsuits. They had little stretchy nudie pants.
You got any pictures of those you can show?
I think those have mysteriously disappeared. But I would imagine Kenny may have some pictures of that. But really But it's what a training ground, and like you say, show business. Just the value of just having a good time on stage.
Yeah,
and because that can be infectious, people catch that. I was out there for 3 years and came back to Lubbock in '76 and started the process of reforming the Maines Brothers Band. At that time, the youngest brother, Donnie, had started playing drums around town with different bands, and so when I came back, I reformed the band with Steve and Donnie, and then we brought in other people. Randy Brownlow, who eventually his brother Jerry came and joined us, and so that became then the core of the reformed Maines Brothers Band. Lloyd was still playing at that time with Joe Ely, so he would come in and sit in with us when he could, and then eventually got off the road with Ely and started with the Maines Brothers full time. So we had that was really my dream from the time I left Lubbock, was at some point to be able to come back and reform the band with the brothers, and that happened. And I think through all the years that we had, and just good and bad, and just trying to hit the big time, and never really quite getting to a national perspective like we wanted, but it was still probably the best experience of my life.
Oh, and y'all have played for decades.
We have. Once again, this where we regrouped in '76. And really haven't stopped yet. I mean, we still gather up occasionally and do it again. Yeah. Well, and because of course we don't learn new songs.
Sure,
we do the old stuff.
Well, that's what everybody wants to hear.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I'm going to request one or two when we get to hear you here in a minute.
Okay. All right, we can do that.
Yeah.
I hope I remember.
Personal life. Not only are you a musician, but you've been a public servant. You've served Lubbock County as a county commissioner.
I was afraid you were going to bring that up.
Well, I got to, because you were a dang good commissioner.
Well, and actually had that was another good experience. And once again, just kind of, to me, things happen for a reason, and that happened in my life at just the right time. We were raising two boys, Sharon and I, and of course, one of the luckiest things I've ever done is end up meeting a young lady named Sharon Hibner, and
she's a star herself.
And yes, and we became husband and wife, had two boys, and during that time we were in that stage of trying to raise a family, and with music and the traveling. It's sometimes very difficult to do that. So in 1990, that time we were living out in the country, and I was dealing with county commissioners and having my own complaints with all that. Thinking, well, anybody can do a better job than that. And so I ran for the county commissioner precinct 1, Lubbock County, in 1992. And was able to serve there for 12 years. Did 3 terms there. So, and it was a great experience. I loved the people I worked with there. I decided after 12 years that as a musician, I got a lot nicer phone calls.
That's right.
So I started thinking about getting back into the business.
Well, and you've been playing as a solo artist for lots of decades as well. You've written lots of original pieces.
Yeah.
You've put some solo albums out. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, about the time that I left Lubbock County, started thinking about getting back in the business, that started doing some songwriting and decided, it's time to do a solo CD. And so did some, originally, the first one, not about half of the songs were original stuff. After that point, just about everything that I recorded was original music, but did actually 3 CDs of original material. And then I was doing some work at the Cactus Theater. Was in a play at the Cactus about the life and music of Hank Williams. Actually got to play Hank Williams, which was a really a thrilling experience for me. And in doing that, learned so much about that guy, and once again, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That the life that he lived, but the incredible music, and just the God-given talent that Hank had, and what a tragic ending. 29 years old, with a guy.
And the impact he made in that short period of time.
Oh, you're talking, actually probably 4.5 years maybe of recording.
It's kind of like a Buddy Holly story.
Absolutely. Where Buddy's was even shorter.
Absolutely.
Buddy was close to 17 months or something like that.
That's right.
But during that process, I actually was able to record a tribute to the music of Hank Williams. Those are distributed by the Cactus Theater. I don't have access to those, but
very nice.
Yeah, so it was time at that point, and I thought, well, because essentially it came from Sharon's question when I told her that I was going to retire as county commissioner, and her first question was, well, then what the hell are you going to do? and so I had to come up with something. So I thought, well, I'm going to get back and just start doing some solo work. I was able, early on, actually teamed up with a young lady in Lubbock at the time. Her name is Leslie Sawyer. Leslie, incredible voice, talented lady. And so she and I did some stuff together because, and I'm sure you probably know, doing a solo performance can be a scary thing.
Especially 3 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
It's tough.
Yeah. But so start out with 2 of us, and then I was able to do some trio stuff for a while, and then finally got into just doing the solo work. And the more I did that, the more I enjoyed it. It actually, my guitar playing, I'd always told people I sing because I want to, I play guitar because I have to. But my guitar playing improved enough to the point to where I could do the 3 hours of music. And so that was fun. And it finally got to the point where I enjoyed that so much. I thought, why put up with all these, whining musicians when you can just do this thing by yourself?
That's right. You don't know if anybody's going to show up, if they're going to be late.
Yeah. No, and there are times that I still get together with folks, and it's that's refreshing.
It is. I do some solo stuff, but some of the best times I've had musically is being on stage with other musicians and connecting on a level that you cannot connect any other way in life.
Oh, I know.
It's just a feeling that is like no other. It's like you feel the music, everybody's in sync, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah. There's really nothing better. I used to talk about with the brothers, and that's why with the experience that we had there were times when, because most of the time with the performance, unless it was a limited timed concert that we were doing, we'd never had a set list. I'd call the songs and we'd kick it off. And there were a number of times, more than I can count, when I would be thinking of a song and I would look at Lloyd and he would say the song that I was thinking, let's do this. And that's when that you're clicking, and just that that's there. So you don't get that feeling from working on a car.
No, you don't. Or building
or maybe if you have a passion for it.
Sure,
you do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you guys were inducted into the West Texas Walk of Fame. I bet that was a big deal because that's a pretty elite list.
Well, and that was great. About 1995, maybe. Really can't remember the year exactly, but that was. I mean, that's one of those just honors that you have that you're just grateful for. There's not sure with it. There's so many people that you've talked about here in the area that are deserving of that, and that continues. Those inductions continue year after year, and I'm so glad. I think at some point we're going to fill that entire park up with plaques, so. and let's bring it. Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about was Lubbock is a special place for music and the arts. I mean, it really is. I've been lots of other places, and there's not really another spot to me. I mean, there's some that are similar, but there's something in the water or there's something in the dirt that blows through the air.
At one time, there was an exhibit at the Texas Tech Museum, and it was titled "Nothing Else to Do." And it talked about that. It's just when people with the wide open spaces that they have here in this area, but then when people are here, they were bored to the point of picking up some kind of instrument, starting to play it. And you may hear that story in other towns. I mean, you'd mentioned that, but I think, and maybe some other towns have their musical favorite sons, but Lubbock is a very special place for that. Now, the sad part of it is so many of those guys have ended up leaving Lubbock to attain, some stature there, getting up. But then a lot of them always came back. They finally decided, and realized what an influence this place was on them, and so they came back here to at least acknowledge that.
I've heard some songwriter friends of mine that live out. They call Lubbock the great incubator. That's where everybody comes to develop their craft. And there's lots of places to do it with all the songwriter nights that they have now and the open jams. And there's so much talent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get booked. There's so much talent.
And I think part of that, and I've told people, growing up, when I was a kid, and I've got to think, most musicians are this way. You grow up and you're listening to singers and instrumentalists, but especially with singers. You hear a singer and you want to sound like them. And with me, it was Ray Price and Johnny Bush and Merle Haggard and Buck Owens. But I would hear those guys and I would want to sound just like they did. Well, I was a pitiful impersonator. But I would put in that effort, but in trying to sound like someone else, I feel like I eventually created my own sound of singing. But I had to put in the effort in trying to do something, and then your chords finally develop how they're going to develop.
And I think that may be one of the hardest things as a singer is finding your own voice and being convinced that that's it, that you're not trying to impersonate.
And so many times you have to almost let someone else acknowledge that for you, that to let you know, no, I enjoyed what I heard. And so, because inside my head, sometimes I sound different than what I do on recordings, for instance. That you hear something back and you're thinking, that's not me singing. I'm much better than that.
Exactly. I know everybody who's watching and listening that knows anything about the Maines family wants to know this question. What does a family reunion look like? Is it just a big concert? Because, I mean, not only are you and your brothers are all musicians, but a lot of y'all's kids. I mean, the Dixie Chicks, Natalie, of course, Lloyd's daughter. Your boys play. I mean, do y'all jam?
Yeah, and actually, it's sad to say that that's back in years past. That was always the case. We've gotten so big now that we don't get together as much because of scheduling and so that makes it tough. But going back even 20 years, that was always, if you were there at a Maine's gathering, there was going to be some music somewhere, being played, and so that was just a part of it. It was always fun and always will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I asked most of my guests this question. If you were sitting here talking to somebody who was wanting to get in the music business, that's their dream, is to be a performer, what advice could you give them, either what to do or what not to do?
Well, and so many times I will hear that question from young singers that just come up singing, and I tell them the very first thing you want to do is learn to play an instrument. Learn something. Because so many singers are just singers, and they feel like that they don't really have an interest in doing something else. And I tell them it's so important, not only just because then you can do a solo performance if you need to, but that also helps if you want to become a songwriter.
That's right. Then
just to have some knowledge of a keyboard or a guitar neck, just progressions on a guitar to be able to construct a song. And so that's always the first thing I tell them. And then the second thing is to put yourself among people who are better than you are. And that will make you a better musician and a better singer and a better performer.
I used to have buddies call and they'd be like, "Hey, come sit in with us tonight. We need a rhythm guitar player." And I'd be like, nerves, or didn't want to fail, and didn't want to try to keep up with those guys. Yeah. But when I went ahead and started doing that, it pushed me to a different place.
Absolutely.
Without even knowing it, subconsciously, it just pushed you immediately to a different place, playing the guitar or performing or singing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's great advice because
sure.
I love playing with people that are better. Most people are better than me, so I don't have trouble finding those guys. But it pushes me. That's great advice. It really is.
Yeah, I think, and that's, but then you're also going to be that influencer to younger people who are coming up that will do the same thing with you. And that's, I guess, the great thing about music. And even though, I guess even now you still have the age of the battle of the bands, but music is not necessarily a competition as much as sports or maybe any other business. Even in sales, you've got competition in that. But with music, I enjoy hearing other musicians as much as I enjoy playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love going and listening to music.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
That's what I like to do when I'm not playing.
Yeah.
My wife's like, "Aren't you tired?" And I'm like, it's kind of scratches that itch,
Yeah, it's like you can go and almost be a part of the music and not have to set up or tear down.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all you've done, not only for music in general, but for Lubbock music. You're a big influence on a lot of young musicians. Your music is incredible. Your songwriting resonates with multi-generations. So thank you for everything you've done. I really appreciate
Jason,
it.
Thank you. And I appreciate you saying that. It's just because, and I was influenced by, the Mac Davises and the Buddy Hollies and those people that grew up here and became something. And so that was such an influence on me. And I'm just glad to be a part of that world.
Absolutely. Where can people find your music? Is your music on Spotify, Apple Music?
Yeah, you can find it on iTunes.
Okay.
And because of that, everything on Spotify. So just search out Kenny Maine's music. And sorry to say that at this point, the Maine's Brothers Band, we really have not entered the digital world yet. Mm-hmm. So at some point that may happen. But you can find my stuff on iTunes and Spotify.
And then what about a gig schedule? Do you post on Facebook or anywhere?
At this point, like I say, I play my the jobs that I work here are Triple J, Chop House, and then I work out at English Newsom Winery, and that's really the only public venues that I'm playing at the point. And as I said at the outset of this interview, starting to wind things down a little bit. That I think Sharon and I may start doing a little more grandkid time and traveling. So I'm anxious for that to start happening.
Well, tell Sharon hello for me.
Will do.
Okay.
Will do.
Well, we're fixing to have a live performance from Mr. Kenny Maines. Kenny, again, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, and you can catch all these episodes on the City of Lubbock's YouTube channel. They air every Friday at 5 p.m. They're also airing on the City of Lubbock's TV channel, My LBK Connect. So be sure to check those out and be looking for this episode and many more. And stay tuned for live performance from Mr. Kenny Maines.
Hi, I'm Kenny Maines, and here to do some live West Texas music for you. The first one I'm going to do is it's the Terry Allen song that talks about a highway that runs between Lubbock and Amarillo. At one point, the bureaucrats got a hold of it and named it I-27, but to us it'll always be the Amarillo Highway. Well, I'm a high, straight, and plain view, side bed and idaloo, and a fresh deck in New Deal. Yes, some call me high hand and some call me low hand, but I'm holding what I am, the wheel. Well, I'm panhandling, manhandling, post holding, high rolling, dust bowling, daddy. Well, I ain't got no blood veins, I just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo highway. Well, don't wear no Stetson, I'm willing to bet, son, that I'm big a Texan as you are. There's a girl in her bare feet, sleep on the back seat, and that trunk's full of Pearl and Lone Star. Well, I'm panhandling, manhandling, post holding, high rolling, dust bowling, daddy. Well, I ain't got no blood veins, I just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo highway. Gonna hop out of bed, pop a pill in my head, yeah, bust a hub for the golden spread under blue skies. Gonna stuff my hide behind some power glide and get southern fried back in my eyes. Well, I'm panhandling, manhandling, post holding, high rolling, dust bowling, daddy. As close as I'll ever get to heaven is making speed up old 87, that hard ass Amarillo highway, yeah. Traveling song, nothing like it. I'm doing an original tune for you now. This is off my Magic Train CD. It's the title cut on that. But this is a song that I wrote. I don't know that many boys growing up, especially here in West Texas, did not have a dream of becoming a cowboy when they got older. Until I realized that being a cowboy is really hard work. But still had the song in my head. It's called The Cowboy. Been riding since sunup, not knowing my fate. My belly's a growling, but he'll have to wait. I'll ride this pony till my work is done. I'll live the life of a cowboy till my race is run. Throw down a blanket to use for my bed, my pillow, a saddle where I lay my head.
I count the stars as I drift off to sleep. I dream of Rosie and wonder, does she dream of me? The life of a cowboy may not be for me. Do I ride this trail or does it carry me? But I'll do my best until I get my pay. I'll tip my hat to the wind, be on my way. Filled with the morning, my eyes open up. The coffee is hot, I fill up my cup. I saddle up and I breathe in the air, keeping my mind on this trail, it's going nowhere. Most of my life has been filled with regret, but there's some good things I haven't done yet. Most of my memory has taken to fly, but I still remember the day I made Rosie cry. The life of a cowboy may not be for me. Do I ride this trail or does it carry me? But I'll do my best until I get my pay. Then I'll tip my hat to the wind, be on my way. Thinking of Rosie and what we could be, I hope and I pray that she's thinking of me. I came here a boy, but I'm leaving a man, leaving to find never roam and take Rosie's hand. This life of a cowboy was not meant for me. Did I ride this trail or did it carry me? But I did my best and now I got my pay. I tip my hat to the wind, I'm on my way. One of my granddaughters had requested that I do this next song. And probably this is on a CD that I recorded called Out of Control. This is the title cut off that CD. And it's actually inspired by a sermon that I heard at the church we were attending at that time. And this song talks about letting God have control of every single part of your life, the big things and the little things, because He can do so much better job than any of us can possibly do when you realize that He actually controls every beat of every heart, every breath that we take. And I think He can handle the little stuff too. So this is called Out of Control. I sit here alone, afraid of the dark. Where does it end? Where do I start? Too much to handle, why do I have to be strong? Then I hear your voice, the touch of your hand. You open my eyes and I understand. You are the light of my life, the words to my song. 'Cause I'm out of control, my life's not my own. Out of control, where I belong, wherever you lead, I'm never alone. With you in my life, I'm out of control. Nailed to a cross with tears in his eyes, in his Father's hands he trusted his life. He rescued me, he paid the debt that I owe. I go where you go, say what you say. Jesus, I'm sure it's my life you save. Lord, I surrender my life, my heart, and my soul. 'Cause I'm out of control, my life's not my own. Out of control, where I belong, wherever you lead, I'm never alone. With you in my life, I'm out of control, my life's not my own. Out of control, where I belong, wherever you lead, I'm never alone. With you in my life, I'm out of control. Keep me out of control. Guy from Brownfield, Texas, named Gary P. Nunn. You only know him from the Los Gonzo Band, played with Jerry Jeff Walker. Gary was also known for a very popular Jerry Jeff song, and a song done by a number of folks, the London Homesick Blues, Home with the Armadillo. I'll do one of Gary's songs now. That's one of my favorite Gary P. Nunn songs. It's called What I Like About Texas. Well, you ask me what I like about Texas. Tell you it's the wide open spaces, everything between the Red River and the Rio Grande. It's the Llano Estacado, Brazos and the Colorado, spirit of the people out here who share this land. It's another burrito, it's a cold Lone Star in my hand. It's a quarter for the jukebox boys play the songs of the mother-loving bunkhouse band. Well, you ask me what I like about Texas. It's the big timber round Nacogdoches, driving the Camino Real into San Antonio. It's the Riverwalk and BTRs, jamming down with Bongo Joe. Stories of the Minger Hotel and the Alamo. Y'all remember the Alamo? It's another burrito. It's a cold Lone Star in my hand. It's a quarter for the jukebox boys. Play the songs of the mother-loving bunkhouse band. Yeah, you asked me what I like about Texas. It's blue bonnets and Indian paint brushes, swimming in the sacred waters of Barton Springs. It's body surfing in Frio, Saturday night in Del Rio, crossing over the border for some cultural exchange. It's another burrito. It's a cold Lone Star in my hand. It's a quarter for the jukebox boys. Play the songs of the mother-loving bunkhouse band. It's another burrito. It's a cold Lone Star in my hand. It's a quarter for the jukebox boys. Play the songs of the mother-loving bunkhouse band. Yeah, you asked me what I like about Texas. Well, I tell you, we'd be here all night. Maybe one more? Sure. Yeah, get that. So I can get this placed here.
Kenny, we usually find one song that kind of fun to do, kind of fun to hear, that everybody asks for. Do you have anything like that?
I don't really have people ask for anything now. Trying to think. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Amarillo Highway is probably one of the most requested, and we talked. Jason had talked about "Break the Fall," which was one of my favorite Maines Brothers Band songs. But actually, yeah, that song was written and sung by Jerry Brownlow. I do a really feeble version of that, so I'm not sure if that would be as good. So, in retrospect. We'll do the title cut off the Magic Train, if I can figure this out. Magic Train CD. And the Magic Train CD that I recorded released in about 2013, and this was my first, what I considered a concept album, because I took a character and put this character in scenarios of working different jobs, and came up with the title cut Magic Train, because the first job that he worked was at a circus, actually as a magician with a circus. And so anyway, I'll try to let this song speak for itself. Nothing ever happens just the way you think it should. Nothing ever works out just because you thought it would. The time we have to travel is beyond our estimation. Every road you take, you'll find another destination. All aboard the Magic Train, there's music in the air. All aboard the Magic Train, there's magic everywhere. You can open up your eyes and see your dreams come true. You can open up your heart and start life anew. Sometimes the wind is at your back, sometimes it's in your face. But trust the wind to take you to another time and place. Sometimes God is on our side, sometimes it's hard to tell. Some of us are heaven bound, some are bound for hell. All aboard the magic train, there's music in the air. All aboard the magic train, there's magic everywhere. You can open up your eyes and see your dreams come true. You can open up your heart and start life anew. Now some say life's a circus if you take away the pain. Some say life's a mystery, the circus is the same. Just one ticket to get in and everybody pays. Climb aboard the magic train, make your getaway. But if we all joined the circus, we would never have a home. We would all be wishing for a place to never roam. A place that we could call our own, a place to settle down. A place just made for waiting till the circus comes to town. All aboard the magic train, there's music in the air. All aboard the magic train, there's magic everywhere. You can open up your eyes and see your dreams come true. You can open up your heart and start. All aboard the magic train, there's music in the air. All aboard the magic train, there's magic everywhere. You can open up your eyes and see your dreams come true. You can open up your heart and start life anew.